Hello, ladies and Jen, and welcome to another replay cast. Today we're looking at the game in the STA-2, the Japanese Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank. So I've done a review on this already, but in 9.9 this tank received a pretty significant buff, which was decreased terrain resistance on hard terrain by 20%, or medium terrain by 18%, on a soft terrain by 10%. Aiming time got decreased from 2.2 to 2.1. Dispersion on the turret traverse got decreased by almost, well, 29%, let's be precise here. So pretty, what sounds like a pretty significant buff, but still, in my opinion, this tank is just flat out inferior to a Panther 88 in pretty much every way possible. It still has a worse terrain resistance than the Panther 88. It still has the main problem of this tank, the lack of penetration, and the aiming time is nice, but it's not that much better than on the Panther 88 anyways. But you gotta give it to the STA-2. If you are shooting something that you can pen with 185 penetration without aiming for weak spots, then this gun is super fast to get the shots off, as the aiming time is really smooth. The aiming time on this is like Russian tier 10 medium tank, like it's, well, T62A, like, let's not bring a Object 430 into the mix here. But yeah, the aiming time is super quick, and just the general lack of penetration, though, completely ruins this tank, because it doesn't have a preferential matchmaking. You can compensate with the best APCR tier 8, but like, I don't really do that, so and why would you buy this to shoot APCR from it if you can just buy a Panther 88 and make more credits, right? So my initial play in this game was to go middle, but that got denied by the light tank that went there before me. So I stuck here sniping, and now loading heat for the size 6 is pretty damn pointless in this angle. I mean, I could have had any pen with heat ammo on that angle. It's gonna be a bounce even with a fucking 400 pen heat, so I'm gonna be more careful to place my shots better, but I don't think that guy's gonna give me the angle to do it in, and I probably will have to fuck off soon as well. Trouble in the valley there, so I need to go and help the Centurion out with that. Do take a blind shot with heat, which is really bad waste of your money, and then leave. But defending this position is not too bad. The gun depression can really shine here, which is one of the strengths of this tank compared to the Panther 88, as the Panther has gun depression to the sides of it. This thing is much better, with 10 degrees to the front and the sides. If this position would be perfect for the tier 10 Japanese medium, the STB1, for the tier 8 it's a bit less so, as you do lack that turret armor, and you really want to be using this gun at medium range. You still don't have a great accuracy with 0.37, but with this aiming time you kind of can get away with it. This more resembles the tier 10's patent gun instead of the STB1's gun, as the STB1 just has terrible aiming all around, but the accuracy isn't even that bad. So yeah, this is a bit too close range for comfort, but I mean, the players I'm facing are not very good at super pushing. Obviously new to the game with a super pushing, because why the fuck not? And here, pretty bad RNG on that shot, which can happen a lot with guns like this that have poor accuracy, but the aiming time is really good. You still don't land a lot of your shots as you would like to do it, and now these kind of shots again bounce on an IS. You can feel the lack of penetration, and one thing you gotta remember when you buy this tank is that it gets tier 10 matchmaking, not tier 9. So a lot of the times you're just gonna get fucked being in tier 10 games. As I said, you have the best APCR out of all the tier 8 mediums, and what's good about this fight is that the super pushing is shooting HE. What's bad about this fight is that my gun just refuses to hit anywhere where I'm aiming, so I'm bouncing way more than I really should, and now I'm just being silly. Another pretty lackluster feature of the STA-2 is the 380 view range. It's not like the end of the world, because you are likely to have a decent crew if you buy this. I mean, buying this tank without even planning to play the Japanese medium tanks is just a complete waste of time, so you probably have a crew that would be worth putting in this tank. And if you have all the view range skills and brother snams, you're gonna be able to achieve the maximum view range without using binos and with optics, but without that you will have that disadvantage of the capped view range. Pretty shitty game at this point. I can't really push towards them, and that's the problem when you play these kind of no armor medium tanks. You just cannot deal with this shit fast enough. If I was playing something like an Indian Panzer where I would be a bit more confident with my armor, they are shooting HE, but still, once I'm in the open and I cannot fall back to reload after every shot, I'll take 2 of those HE shots every time I do something. Plus, we still need to deal with a Bulldog. I probably need to wait for the super pushing to shoot somebody else and then go for the Bulldog. And the amount of bounces on the super pushing cupola there were also too damn high, and now I'm definitely gonna pick this guy up as the super pushing just fired and hope that I can get away in time. The Centurion should be peeking a bit more aggressively, but I guess his position isn't great there. You can just see that I still have to aim a lot to hit that cupola, and it's better, in this case it is better for me to make sure that I hit it instead of hitting the gun mantlet like this, because we need to kill these guys so we can turn around and face the rest of this shit. At least I land the last shot on this super pushing, and now the Centurion seems to have gone to ham. I don't really need to help him, and I don't really want to. I'd rather help the T-28 with the Russian heavy tanks, but I end up having to fight this Yak Panther. Pretty unlucky shot for me at the beginning here, but I do end up land the second one. IS-3 is in my range as well, but he spotted me, so I will back off and try not to take an extra damage here for no real reason. So I'm not really sure how good the Yak Panther's reload is, but since he didn't shoot me last time when he fired first, I will assume that my reload is better, which makes sense in that regard, so I'll try to just deal with him as quickly as I can here. He does land that shot, and you do have that cupola that is pretty damn exposed as well. Maybe sticking around here for too long, but I'm just hoping that IS-3 will miss, but IS-3 does the exact opposite with tracking me and doing damage and damaging my ammo rack, because Russian sniper tank, of course. Well, to be honest, his chances to hit me there were quite high. We still can win this game. It's not that unlikely. They only have 2 tanks left. One of them is a super pushing in the cap circle, I would imagine, instead of the Arty, and the other one is the one-shot IS-3. I do load HE, but then I look at the HP list of the IS-3 and realize that he still has 100 HP, so instead of that I'll load heat. The thing about the STA is that if you face an IS-3 in a flat angle, you cannot pen it anymore. After they buffed the IS-3 for some inexplicable reason, you just cannot do anything to it. And I can't even, well, I hit the gun mantlet with heat. I would easily pen his upper plate, but I get unlucky with that shot, so I don't do any damage there whatsoever. Still sticking to this heat as the complete unfairness of the IS-3 armor is something that I don't really want to lose this game to. And now it would be really nice if I wouldn't get spotted for crossing this, but you know, left testicle spotting means that the IS-3 actually saw me coming through there, which is pretty bad for me. But hopefully the Centurion then maybe can take care of him. The super pushing is on point with his shot, but the IS-3 fucks up and the Centurion picks him up. The IS-3 was going for me, so the Centurion was a pretty good surprise for him. And now, loading back to AP, because shooting a super pushing with heat is probably worse than shooting him with AP. So, we're gonna load back to AP and see if we can do damage here. We are slowly but steadily running out of time here to reset this guy, and both of us now are one-shots, which is unfortunate for us. Can't really afford to aim these shots with being a one-shot, and the super pushing really... The problem with fighting super pushings in this thing is that super pushings really don't have to aim at you, while you do, and that is obviously really bad. I do get a pretty ridiculous shot there on the inside of his track, which actually did damage somehow, but now the Arty fucks up his approach, but the Centurion lands a shot to kill the super pushing, and our Arty dies to their Arty. So now we could easily cap, but capping would mean that we put the initiative on the hands of the enemy Arties, and one of them can spot, the other one can shoot, or the one that spots, if it's the SU, can easily just spot us and shoot us unless we sit together, and if we sit together he can one-shot us both anyways. Loading HE here will turn out to be a mistake because, you know, Russian Arties have armor as well, but I feel that loading HE will give me a chance to one-shot a Hummel, and it's kind of worth trying for it, as it should be the first RTS spot. I mean, Hummel is definitely the faster one, so he might have thought about going to the cap, or he might have just thought about relocating first anyways. But yeah, I see the bad news. I see that I cannot pen the RD, so I aim for kind of dodgy shot in his side. Really unfortunate for me, but just a mistake to load an HE shot there for sure. I probably could have two-shotted him with AP if I rolled properly, but now we still have to fight him, which might turn out to be a really bad decision for me to load that HE. Again, loading HE in just in the hunt for the Hummel, really. I mean, if we find and one-shot the Hummel, this game is pretty much over, so that is exactly what I'm trying to do here. Really careful here to not push out or push down any trees, and since I cannot spot the Hummel, it is that point where I need to switch back to AP. With a good reload like this, you can switch your ammo really quickly without really worrying about being exposed while reloading, especially when you fight Ari like this. Again, really cautious there to not destroy any objects, as both Aris could really be watching that. And yeah, the SU-14 has 410 health, so I could easily 2 AP shot him, but sadly my first shot at him was HE. Do miss my first shot, which encourages the Centurion to play like an absolute moron, so he dies for it, and now, it's not very tricky, this situation. I mean, no matter which way I go, there's like... I guess the chances that he was looking towards the city are like 60%, and the chances that he would be sneaky and turn the way I'm going now are like really similar. So I'm just going to take my chances with this HE. I should be able to one-shot a Hummel with HE, so now at least we can make it useful, and that's exactly what happens. The back of a Hummel is not really the hardest thing to pen with an HE shot, so yeah, that's the game. So here's the end plate, 11,291 experience with that times 5. Ace tanker, defender, high caliber, 4,732 damage done, 91,985 credits earned. Lost quite a bit of them because of the pretty much complete waste of heat that I fired. That I believe none of my heat shots actually penned anything, but still 1,476 base experience as well, with 5 frags to my name. One thing that's pretty typical for the STA-2 gun is that from the 38 shots I fired, I hit 32, which is a reasonably decent rate of hit rate, but out of those 32 I only penned 23, which is pretty bad, and that really is a combination of poor aim, bad RNG, and just being unlucky, I guess. The one shot that, funnily enough, ended up not being a waste of ammo was the IS-6 heat blind shot, as that was a shot that I actually did hit and penned. But in conclusion, is the STA-2 still worse than the Panther 88 and the CDC? In my opinion, yes. There is still a lot for this tank to go to reach a level of a Panther 88. In my opinion, it's still pretty much worse tank in pretty much every possible way. But really, for the gun depression, the Panther 88 just has a better DPM, better pen, better accuracy, and the aiming time difference you cannot really feel all that much, just because the Panther is slightly slower and probably some of the soft stats are better as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast, and I will see you on the next one.